In this section, we are shifting gears and looking at how ChatGPT handles data, and not just numbers, but actual spreadsheets, tables, and even CSV files. This goes way beyond casual conversation, because ChatGPT can actually help you clean up messy data, it can interpret spreadsheet content, it can analyze trends, and even generate summaries or visualizations. You can do this in two main ways. So first of all, you can paste the data into the chat, like a table copied from Excel or Google Sheets. Or you can upload a file, either a CSV file or an Excel file. You can do this in two main ways. You can paste the data directly into the chat right here, like a table that is copied from Excel or Google Sheets. Or you can upload a file, either a CSV or an Excel file, by pressing on this little plus sign and then add files and photos. From there, you can ask questions like, what are the most common issues in this support log? Which product had the highest sales in the first quarter? Can you spot any trends or anomalies in this data? This is especially useful if you are an entrepreneur who is making sense of reports, or maybe a student writing a data-driven paper, or even a marketer reviewing campaign performance. So you don't really need to sort rows manually or build pivot tables, because ChatGPT can help you understand and explain your data in plain language. In the next lesson, we'll be uploading a sample file and walk through a full analysis, from raw spreadsheets to actionable insights. Let's jump in. Let's get into the real power move: uploading actual spreadsheet files and having ChatGPT do the heavy lifting for you. Now I'm gonna click on this little plus button and select Add Photos and Files. This way I can upload files straight from my computer. I'm going to select this example file and hit Upload. Once it is uploaded, ChatGPT will show you the name just like this and confirm it's pretty much ready to go. Now we're not done. I'm going to go into the prompt section here and start typing away. Please analyze this data set and give me insights on top performing products, monthly sales trends, and any anomalies you notice. You'll see how ChatGPT will process this data, and as you can see, it broke down the information into human readable summaries. This is honestly way faster than going through the rows myself. Here we have sales anomaly, says unable to display the visualization. That's okay, because I never really asked for visualization. But here we have some insights, the top performing products, monthly sales trends, sales anomalies. Now, significant anomalies were detected. Maybe that's why it was unable to display. So here we go. And here's all the data. But now we can take it a little bit further. So I'm going to dig a little deeper and ask it to create a summary and also visualize it in a bar chart. So I'm going to start typing. Can you create a table summarizing the monthly trends and visualize this as a bar chart? It's not a question. It is a statement. Okay. If you are on GPT 4.0 like I am, as you can see up here, you will see this kind of native chat appear in the chat. And this actually helps you a lot because you don't really need to fire up Excel or Google Sheets. You get all the visualized data right here in ChatGPT. And now let's squeeze out some insights. I'm going to go back to the prompt and start typing, do you see any outliers or have any recommendations based on this data? And it has broken down everything that we need to know in a beautiful way. Got recommendations, performance trends, and outliers. Everything that we needed and more, conveniently more. So this works both on free and the paid plan. So you can upload files and analyze them, but deeper analysis and visualization like I just did, and of course cleaner formatting, works best with GPT 4.0, which is part of the Plus plan. Free users, of course, have the ability to upload files, but it is limited on how many files you can upload per day. So keep that in mind. Overall, this kind of workflow is perfect for anyone who's working with reports, survey results, product tracking, really anything, you name it. In the next lesson, however, we will look at using ChatGPT to extract insights from pasted data without uploading any files. So what if you don't have a spreadsheet to upload, or you're on the free plan and you unfortunately have hit your file upload limit for the day? Well, like I said before, don't worry, because you can still analyze data inside ChatGPT by just pasting it as plain text. So here's how it works. Let's say you got a small list of expenses, something like this. You can copy this from any other source that you have. Go back to ChatGPT. I usually put these things in quotes, paste it in. I just used my keyboard shortcut, which was Command-C. And now I'm holding down Shift and Return on my keyboard so I can put in my prompt because we're not done here yet. I'm going to ask it to group these by category and show totals in a table. And boom, everything is organized and everything is calculated. This is absolutely perfect for things like quick budget reviews, tracking simple lists, or even categorizing survey responses. Now I can take it a step further. You can also organize this information in any way you want. So I'm going to go back to the prompt box and say, now sort this table by total spent highest to lowest. And here you have it, completely organized. So this, like I said before, works for both the free and the plus users. There is no file upload necessary, which makes it super easy. And of course, as you can see, this is best used with smaller databases. And also, this kind of thing works across the GPT models. However, the formatting is much cleaner with GPT-4o. So yeah, even without uploading anything, you have still got a solid way to break down your data fast just by pasting and prompting. It's like Excel Lite, but in a conversation. All right, so let's talk about something that might not be super flashy, but still is super important when working with text or spreadsheet data, which is cleaning and formatting. So imagine you've got a bunch of messy data, names typed in all lowercase, maybe dates in random formats, or even a mix of columns you would want to clean up before uploading somewhere, right? So this is actually where ChatGPT can seriously save your time. You don't need to be a spreadsheet wizard. You can just describe what is it that you want to ChatGPT and it will handle the logic for you. So let's say you have a list that is super random. Here, I'll copy an example in the chat box. So as you can see, you have all this messy data here. Got names in random letters in random sizes. The dates are kind of whacked, like some are written like this, the other ones are written differently. So what would you do in this situation? So you have all this data. I'm just going to put this in quotes just because I'm used to doing that at this point. And now you would type in this kind of prompt. Clean this data. So each name is in title, case, and all dates follow the day / month / year format. So I'm exactly describing what it is that I need ChatGPT to do. I'll hit enter and watch the magic unfold right in front of your eyes. So as you can see, it fixed up the names, it capitalized the first letters of each name, and it fixed up the dates. And now I can just hit copy and paste this data in wherever it is that I need. And everything is consistent and everything is clean. You can also change, for example, JSON to CSV, or you can also convert full names into separate first / last name columns. Also, and this is one of my favorites, you can turn paragraphs into bullet points. So if you need to change a format there, this is a super fast and easy way to do that. So you pretty much just describe what you want clearly, and of course, the more specific, the better. And of course, this does work for both free and paid plans, but if you are using GPT 4.5, it will be even more accurate for things like JSON structures or larger data tables. And GPT 4.0 is also great, especially if you're working fast and on the fly. Cleaning and formatting data doesn't have to be a drag like we all are familiar with. Just paste it in, describe what you want, and ChatGPT will do the heavy lifting. Hope this comes in handy, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Let's talk about productivity, and not the boring, rigid kind, but the kind that actually helps you get your life together without feeling overwhelmed. ChatGPT isn't just for brainstorming or writing. It can actually help you organize your entire week, balance your personal goals, and even take over some admin stress. So maybe you're juggling side projects, self-care, or just trying to remember to buy basic things like bread and butter. ChatGPT can actually help you with this. Let me show you how it's done. So first, you're going to start with a basic prompt. I'm going to put in, help me organize my week. I need time to work, gym, of course, grocery shop, and read. I'm going to hit this, and ChatGPT might come back with some questions about, or not this time, but it might ask you some more specific questions about your schedule. And that's why you can start feeding in more information. Or from here, you could be like, hey, no, but I don't work these hours. I work these hours. And then it would adjust the schedule. But as you can see, it has created me schedule based on this information right here, which is, it assumes that I work 8 hours, gym 3 to 5 sessions. So if you want to tweak that, it can be like, no, maybe I want to go to the gym twice a week, or maybe 7 days a week, depends. And same goes for everything else. But as you can see, you have a beautiful schedule right in front of you, which is fully adjustable. Now you can follow up this with something like, can you turn this into a table with days, times, and task durations? Here we go. So we went from here, which was pretty good, to this. So I suppose for now we have a table for Monday, but then can go back and tweak more things, put everything else in a table, but you get the idea of how easy it is to create a very organized and schedule for you. And now here is a bonus prompt. If you want to take it a step further, you can actually follow up with another prompt to really improve your life. So let's say I have some issues with creating healthy meals, for example. I'm going to say, give me 3 healthy meal ideas I can prep in under 30 minutes this week. And ChatGPT follows up with a couple of healthy meal options for me, giving me all the ingredients and even the instructions. And this, as a busy person, this can be extremely helpful. So besides scheduling out your entire week, it can also help you with healthy eating in a very organized way. Next up, we will zoom into how ChatGPT can help you handle emails and calendars. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll see you in the next lesson. Okay, let's dive into how ChatGPT can help you with 2 everyday tasks: writing emails and managing your calendar. If you're drafting up something new or polishing your rough drafts, ChatGPT can jump in like your personal editor. For example, let's start with a prompt. Let's say, draft an email asking for feedback after our product launch. And what ChatGPT is going to do is give you a clear, professional message that, of course, after that, you can tweak a little bit. So we have a whole template ready. Here is where you would put your actual information, but here we have the main body of the email. And as I said before, from here you can make it more casual or maybe more concise or more enthusiastic. It really depends on what you need, and you would just follow up with another prompt asking to adjust it. This is a really solid way to stop overthinking and just hit send much faster. What you can also do is paste in a messy draft that you have and just ask, let me paste in the draft right here, quotes in, why not? Nope. Here we have the messy draft, for example, that I have, and I'm going to say, can you rewrite this to sound more confident and friendly? As you saw, the draft was pretty not great, not something you would want to send out. It said, hey, just wondering if you had time to look at the doc I sent last week. No rush if you're busy, but would be great to get your thoughts when you can. Thanks. Also written in a very unprofessional manner, and it came back with just checking to see if you had a chance to review the doc I sent over last week. I'd really value your thoughts when you have a moment. Let me know if you have any questions or need anything from my side. Thanks so much. It has also made the overall look of the email much more professional. And I do personally use this feature a lot. When it comes to the calendar integration, if you have a plus plan and you have actions enabled in your settings, where you would find that is go to your profile picture on the right hand corner and click on settings. I don't have actions right now, unfortunately, but you would find them here. But if you have these actions enabled, this is where you can actually have ChatGPT help out with your calendar. So by having those actions enabled, then you can go on and ask it to schedule meetings or block off time in your calendar directly. So this also is pretty useful for staying organized without bouncing between apps. It's like having your own little assistant. So when it comes to the email help, of course, this option is available for both paid and free plans. However, the calendar integration is only available for Plus users who have actions turned on. So if you have a tricky email sitting in your drafts, you can also drop it here into ChatGPT and say, for example, help me respond to this in a respectful but direct way. You'll get a suggestion that saves you a lot of time and stress. Next, we will explore how to use OpenAI's operator for daily tasks. So think of it as giving ChatGPT even more real-world powers, like sending messages or fetching info for you. I think it's a game changer for boosting productivity. Okay, today we are unlocking something next level: deep research. Think of it as your personal research magician. It scours the web across multiple steps, pulls in the latest info, and drops a neat, cited summary. No more endless Googling for us. I'll also show you how to ask follow-up questions hands-free using voice mode, because sometimes typing is not an option. All right, so now let's make sure we have a brand new chat waiting. And also, I will need to switch the deep research mode on and show you how it works with a real-world example. So if you go down here by tools and click on that and select deep research, now the deep research is enabled and you can start asking your questions. Before we start, I want to preface that this is a plus and a pro feature. So if you're on a free plan, unfortunately, it's not available. You might want to upgrade to unlock this feature. But now I'm going to paste in a prompt like this. So the prompt's very simple. It says, track and summarize the top 3 climate tech funding rounds announced in the past 7 days. Include company names, funding amounts, and sources. I'm going to hit enter and you will see the difference on how the output is going to happen. So as you can see, first of all, I don't get a full answer. What it does is actually asks me for follow-up questions, so ChatGPT can really get this down and correct. So let's read what it said. To make sure I capture the most relevant information, could you clarify? Should I focus globally or just on a specific region, example US or Europe? Are you interested in only private venture capital rounds? And 3, would you like details about what each company does or just the funding data? Once I have this, I'll get started right away. Okay, so I'm gonna do my answer just so we could move on with this process. But this is, I think, very unique, where instead of you giving a prompt and the AI just does whatever it can, it actually comes back and really clarifies to really ensure that the output is the best that it can be. So let's answer some questions. Let's focus on Europe and private venture. Okay, here I have answered all the questions. And now, as you can see, again, it hasn't given me a full breakdown of the answer. It actually is taking its time doing deep research, hence it is called deep research. It is actually digging very deeply and researching, and a lot of times this kind of research for ChatGPT can take quite a bit. It's not something that we all are used to, like a couple of seconds. With deep research, it actually could take like 5-10 minutes sometimes. It also depends on how late it is in the day. Maybe there's a lot of people online. Maybe you have slow internet. It really depends on many things, but this kind of feature takes its sweet time. So we're just gonna sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea or coffee, and wait for the results. Okay, as you can see, we have something already popped up. I'm not going to get into it now because I really want to go over the full thing, so I'm just going to exit from here, but we can see the progress happening right here. So now I'm back and we have the output all ready and the deep research is all laid out. So first things first, notice how it didn't just spit out just text that has been bullet pointed randomly, right? That is very important because this window is all the research that it did, and it took 6 minutes with 14 sources and 56 researches. So this wasn't just some random generation. This was actually deep research. So without too much reading exactly what it's saying, we can just expand it and first of all see the layout, which is absolutely beautiful, and it looks like an actual research paper. But then if we scroll down, we have the citations, which actually happened to be clickable. So if we click on one, it brings us to the exact place where this information was taken, which this in particular is from EU startups. Going back, out of 14 sources, it gathered all of these citations that are completely available to click around and read around yourself if you're interested. But you can also find them here next to the actual test that represents that information, right? And you can also click on these and it will take you right to the place. But let's just look at the overall information. So the title is Top 3 European Climate Tech VC Funding Rounds, past 7 days. We have Dexter Energy Netherlands. The funding is 23 million raised. Cool. We have a description. We had lead investors and announced. Then we have Tulum Energy Italy. Same thing. All the information is broken down and all of it is backed up with clickable citations. I emphasize it so much because for someone who needs to do deep research for school or work, this is incredibly useful because you end up not spending your own time and wasting your own time, essentially, just kind of going around and verifying the information, trying to find it by Googling. You can just click on here and really make sure that ChatGPT has done it correctly, right? So that's pretty cool. Then we have, not sure if I'll be able to pronounce that. Anyways, Germany. And here we have also the sources where it mainly took. So we have the tech startups, EU startups, and at the bottom you can find those main sources where he got all this information, which we have 3 sites. We have tech startups, EU startups, and because artists. So also, again, clickable. Now, another cool thing that you can actually do with this, you can download it in a PDF. So if you want to use it in a project or you just want to have it on your device, whether it's your iPad, iPhone, or phone, your tablet, your computer, you can totally do that by just downloading and you'll get a very clean PDF. And of course, also you can share this link here. But usually you also would get a pin button, but sometimes ChatGPT has some UI bugs that, unfortunately, I cannot see the little pin button anywhere, but it usually is down here where you can click on it and save it for later in your ChatGPT account. So the cool part about this whole thing is voice mode, because not always typing is an option, as I said before. And to activate voice mode, again, it's super simple. Just click on this little sound wave button right here, and you should be able to talk to ChatGPT. I'm going to hit on this button and continue this conversation with clarifying some things with my voice. So let's click on that. We'll hit allow. Okay. So can you summarize any new climate tech funding rounds announced today? So one of the notable climate tech funding rounds announced today is for a UK-based company called Lumenstream. They secured £1.2 million in investment led by a local angel investment syndicate and Co-Fund 3. They're focused on expanding their lighting as a service model, which helps businesses cut down on CO2 emissions and operational costs. Pretty cool, right? All right. Thank you so much. You're welcome. If you need any more. All right. So you saw how it responded, talking back as if it was a real conversation. I know we covered this already in one of our previous lessons, but I really, really do like voice mode. And especially when you pair it up with deep research, you can genuinely end up being an experience where there's just two researchers trying to get to the most valuable information. And again, this is also very amazing for multitasking, so you can use this on your phone or on your laptop, on your desktop computer, anywhere. This is your shortcut to staying on top with credible, up-to-date insights. So no endless searches, no guessing, just smart, source-backed info delivered your way. I absolutely love this pairing, and I really hope that you learn something new and that you get to use this in your projects. Let's talk about one of the most fun and surprisingly helpful ways to use ChatGPT for personal life help. So maybe you're planning a dinner, a weekend getaway, or just trying to figure out what to buy at the store. ChatGPT is basically your go-to life coordinator. Let's start with food. So you can ask ChatGPT things like, give me a week's worth of easy vegetarian dinners. And here you have a beautiful list of vegetarian dinners that you can implement in your week. Beautiful. You can also do something like, I have eggs, spinach, and feta. What can I make for lunch? And here you have many ideas for your lunch with just the ingredients that you already have. As you can see, ChatGPT has thrown together a whole list of ideas. And also, if you want, you can ask for step-by-step instructions on how to prepare these meals if some of these look or sound especially delicious to you. And of course, like you saw before, I mentioned that I'm a vegetarian, for example. If you have any other dietary needs, like maybe you're gluten-free, dairy-free, maybe low-carb, or anything else, you can include that in your prompt, and ChatGPT will make sure to note that when it gives you, for example, a grocery list. So let's say, now I'll be gluten-free. I am gluten-free. Make me a grocery list based on this diet. And you even have categories. So you got produce, pantry, staples, gotta have those, dairy and eggs, extra flavor boosters. If you're new to a diet, this can be very useful because, for example, there are things that I didn't know that had gluten in them, has gluten in them. So this can be very, very helpful. Now let's level up. ChatGPT is also amazing at planning entire trips, especially when you are short on time or just short on brain power, which happens to the best of us. So for example, we can continue on this chat, or actually I'm going to start a new chat. And for example, I am going on a trip and I need some advice. I'm going to say I am planning a 3-day trip, let's say vegetarian trip to Lisbon. Suggest a full itinerary. And boom, you get suggestions for restaurants, sights to see, cultural and even sports things to do. This is very rich and very worth trying, especially if you travel a lot to a lot of destinations that you're not familiar with. And also, you can get some hidden gems from these kinds of suggestions as well. Another way to even dig deeper, you can follow up with something like, what's the best way to get around Lisbon without renting a car, if we're talking about unfamiliar destinations? And you have a couple of suggestions that you can definitely take into account and plan around and make your vacation or your trip even more stress-free. You can also adjust your itinerary. For example, you're more into nature, so perhaps when it comes to the itinerary, you can ask, can you adjust the itinerary to include more nature spots? And now ChatGPT has a tailor-made list for you to do and explore Lisbon in your own taste. So with this kind of method, you're not just getting general and generic advice. You're actually having like a conversation that gets smarter the more it gets to know you. And overall, you get some good advice. So the point of this is that you don't really need to do anything alone anymore. You pretty much have a sidekick in your pocket. A couple of quick notes before we end this lesson. I wanted to mention that, of course, this kind of interaction is available for both free and paid ChatGPT users. You can ask for recommendations, checklists, plans, or even reminders to help you follow through. And of course, the more context you give, the better the output. And of course, the more context you give, the better output you get. But of course, even the basic prompts work, and then you can do your own adjustments. I'll see you in the next lesson. Let's revisit something we briefly introduced in the 30-minute walkthrough, which is voice mode. Now we're going to be diving a bit deeper, showing you why it's actually a game changer in everyday life. So what is voice mode good for? Think of it as hands-free ChatGPT for when you are practicing a new language, brainstorming ideas on the go, cooking, cleaning, walking, and just need real-time help without typing. It's not just about convenience, it's more about fluidity, having a back and forth with AI that feels more like talking to a really smart friend than typing into a box. So where do you find this voice mode? If you take a look at my phone screen, on the bottom right corner, there's a white button with sound waves. That is exactly what you would need to tap to start your conversation with ChatGPT. Oh, well, that sounds fun. All right, let's see. First, you could do a picnic in a local park. Just pack some homemade snacks, maybe bring a blanket and enjoy the fresh air. Another idea is to have a movie marathon at home with a fun theme, like pick a genre or a favorite director. You can also do a DIY craft night, maybe painting or making something creative together. Another fun idea is to go stargazing. If you have a clear night, just find a nice spot and maybe use a stargazing app to identify constellations. And lastly, you could do a game night with board games or card games and just healthcare friendly. What kind of games would you suggest? Can you give me like 2 or 3 options? Sure. For something classic and fun, you could go with a game like Scrabble, especially if you both enjoy word games. Another great option is something like Codenames, which is a team-based word association game that's always a lot of laughs. Okay, I love that. I actually love that idea. Thank you so much. You're welcome. I'm glad you like the suggestions. I hope you have a lot of fun on your date nights. If you need any more ideas, just let me know. So as you see, I was actually also able to interrupt, which made this conversation feel a lot more real and human, which I find very interesting. And it really does adapt and it catches on and it doesn't go back to what it was previously saying. It actually like takes on what you just interrupted it with and carries the conversation. This kind of feature is actually available for both free and plus users, which is amazing. However, the best experience is on GPT-4o, but it does still work on other models. And like I said, you can interrupt it and talk over it. It will adapt. That's amazing. This is awesome for anyone who thinks out loud, gets ideas while moving, or just wants to multitask a little bit smarter. So if you're practicing your Spanish or planning your week while folding your laundry, voice mode brings a whole new rhythm to how you use AI.